All right, everybody. Good evening, good night to you. Good morning, good afternoon, whenever it is you tune in. Hope all is going well with you. I'm Noah.
What's going on, man? It's your
There we go.
host, Youngin
All right.
Trey.
And then we got Bellows World. We're just living in it, apparently. I Trey, you're gonna have to update me about what's going on because I got blown up on all of the Discord messages. I don't really know what happened. I can
Oh
tell that
yeah.
you guys won, but what's going on there?
So, of course, what I told you, I didn't watch the first half. I was emotional to say the least. So watched as soon as the second half started. Um, we were up 17-7 at half. Bama, I mean not Bama, UGA scored off of the first drive, put up 3 points in their next six drives. Um, we ended up going up 20-10. It was 17-10. They had a end around that they were trying to do. It was like a counter, fake the counter end around, and Beck, their quarterback, thought he tossed the ball to the wide receiver. Wide receiver bobbled it, dropped to the ground. The ball is like literally at his Achilles. It's like right behind him. And he's just sitting there like, oh yeah, I handed the ball off, trying to fake it, and we recovered the fumble. So then we went up 20-10. Had the ball at like the R at UGA's like 15. I mean not 15, like 17, 18 yard line. Still only put up 3 points. Um so yeah, then UGA drives down the field, scores off of a Beck jet sweep. So now it's 20-17. We ended up responding right after that with a 9 play, 75-yard drive. Put the game at 27-17. They went down there, scored. Took them about, I think it was like 8 plays and two fourth down conversions to score. Which of the fourth down conversion was at like the second one was at like the 3 yard line or the 2 yard line. They scored. Um, and then we just bled the clock out the last 2 minutes. Milrow used his legs, got two first downs, pretty much ended the game with the second first down. And we won the game 27-24. And we are most likely, hopefully, maybe going to the college football playoffs. Um, I don't really care who we play. They're probably gonna have us play Michigan. It's probably gonna be like one Michigan, two Texas, three Bama, probably Washington at four. I just don't see how they can put Georgia in there right now after the loss to Bama. Um, but yeah, Bama's probably going to be put at five. If I'm being completely honest with you, I mean not Bama, Georgia. It's probably going to be put at five. If I'm being completely honest with you.
Well, I didn't have a horse in the race, but I feel sorry for the Georgia fans, but also got to
Roll Tide.
acknowledge that there's Bama tides over here, so can't please everybody.
I
All
see.
right.
You see why I'm only a fan to the Falcons though in the state of Georgia. Not a Hawks fan. Not a Georgia fan. I can't really say I'm a Braves fan because I don't really like or pay attention to baseball that much. But hey, yeah, if I was a baseball fan or player, I probably would pay attention to the Braves, but never did. So yeah,
Yeah, I sometimes you just kind of go for the certain like storylines that sports will provide you, and be like, oh hey, cool, there's a nice little underdog, or it's been a while since this team has done anything, and just kind of like enjoying it with them. Some
yeah,
people would call that being a bandwagon, but if
true.
you don't like tie yourself, and just be like so like expose yourself about being one, then it can be kind of fun. It's always fun to like if you enjoy the sport enough, then you can watch any kind of game and have enjoyment out of it. But I know that certain teams and certain connections and certain rivalries will kind of distance that love that you can have for. So if you don't have that, then you can just kind of like freely enjoy any game that you see.
True.
Uh, all right. So, speaking of trying our best to enjoy a game, we have Falcons Jets. I don't know how we're feeling about this one as far as like
There's so many things that can happen in this game that either should or shouldn't happen. But um, yeah, I'll let you get started.
well, let's talk about a in the middle, a meh outcome because we're playing a meh life stadium. Um, like if we're either talking about the performance, like play style, any injuries because of the stupid turf, um, like I don't know any other situation that could cause this game to be a meh for us. Because I want to check the weather too.
I think it's raining. If I'm pretty sure, I
All
think
right.
we're in a rain game because I heard them talking about that in one of their
It's
interviews.
gonna rain. I really like the chance of us seeing a lot of run plays.
Against the 30th rushing defense in the league, and we can run the ball 50 times. I'll take it.
I mean, we can pretty much just phone it in on offense. Like, if they really truly play up to that 30th ranked run defense, then
Now,
this is
of
going to be a
course,
really quick game.
now of course, there has been a lot of games where they were just out of it, or like the defense just gave up, so they were getting run all over. Usually, early in the game, the run defense that they have is good, but of course, when your offense longest drive in the last 6 weeks has been 4 minutes, and the most points they've put up in the last 6 weeks has been 14 points. Yeah, I can see why you're upset.
Jeez.
They also have given up a touchdown on offense or a turnover on offense in every one of those games. Of course, last game they had the historic 99-yard pick six off a Hail Mary, which has never happened before.
At the end of the half, too. Like,
And it wasn't even
I
needed.
mean,
You
I'm
could
over
have
here
just
thinking that like, because I'm over here thinking like, oh yeah, I mean, I would agree with the decision. You know, like you just kind of throw it up and then see like, oh yeah, what's the worst that can happen? Oh yeah, this is the Jets. The absolute worst can happen, and it did because of course it did.
man, oh man. You can't make that type of stuff up. Who would have thought, hey man, out of everything that's going to happen today, out of everything that's going to happen today, we're going to throw a pick. And not just any pick, but a 99-yard pick six. And the sad thing is, none of the Jets were, as soon as the ball was picked off, the Jets wide receiver just walked and looked like, are we supposed to go get this? Because it was like he threw it directly to Javon Holland. He didn't even throw it near any wide receiver. He just threw it directly to Javon Holland. And he outran everyone.
Yeah, I can also tell that. Like if you're the Jets right there, right? If you're a Jets player, let's say you're not one of the wide receivers. If you're just like the offensive lineman, like my initial response is like, I'm good. Like he's not my problem. And
Oh,
that's kind of what
it's
everyone had the thought process because like dude, we were just supposed to go to half. Like where were we supposed to go to the locker rooms? We have like another 15 minutes to come back out here and represent ourselves for another second half of the game. And this is what we got to come back to. Like this is what we just left.
they could have just took a knee, to be honest. There was no need for that. Like, literally no
Or
need.
do a little hook and ladder and kind of lateral. I don't know that probably would have
Like, you never
failed
know. That
too.
would have got picked off and taken back to the house. Oh, lineman trying to get it back to Garrett Wilson. Oh, Javon. Oh, wait, no. Is that Bradley Chubb taking it back to the house for a 55-yard pick six? Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Heck, dude, if we had Grady Jarrett, like you could have had another intercepted spike play.
I forgot that happened.
I mean, I don't think it counted because of like an offensive penalty, but it's like
Yeah,
he
false
did it.
start. I don't know why more players don't try that. Like instead of giving up on the play, how about try to pick it off?
I
Like
saw
just
that Jalen
literally,
Carter tried to do it earlier.
yeah. Like just get as low as you can to the ground, and as soon as it snaps, just dive under the man's butt and try to pick it off. I mean, it could work because quarterbacks literally only take half of a step back and then just throw the ball on the ground. They don't even take a couple of steps back. They literally just sometimes some quarterbacks just take it and throw it. They don't even step back. So you could literally just be right there if you just slid under them.
And if you know like the snap count, or like all right, everyone's trying to hurry up and line up, and then you're just trying to get ready. Like if you're right in front of the center, you're gonna know his tendencies because that was already at the end of the play or at the end of the game. So it's like, yeah, you can just
And they're not
learn
going to
that
go.
real quick and then just whoop, scoop it up.
And they're not going to go on two because they're trying their hardest. So as soon as he says hut, the ball's coming out. So
Well, yeah, because I mean, the whole purpose is to stop the clock. Like, why would you take time? Like, so now that we're talking about them, Brees Hall's playing, right? Like, you still got their
yeah,
running game.
yeah, he's playing. He just hasn't done anything all season. But he has no help because that offensive line is pretty garbage. So really not much help.
He's got a full practice last time from a hamstring injury. He's listed as questionable. Thank goodness Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back against us. I don't know what I would have done if that was the case. Thank goodness we missed that. Let's see. Everyone else, as far as like, Mekhi Becton, Mike Carter, the other Michael Carter, Quincy Williams should be there. Will McDonald should be fine. Like some of these players, they like as raw talent, they're still pretty good. But it's just there's something that's not clicking with this thing.
Is it me?
Or what?
Or am I praying? And I really am. Am I praying that Tim Boyle doesn't have a Will Levis type of game tomorrow or Josh Dobbs? Like, please.
Well, here's the thing. He's been in the league for a while. Like, we've faced him before back in like 2020, 2021.
I think it was 2020.
When he was in Detroit.
Oh, yeah, that was 2021 when Foye got that pick.
Right. And like I said, like if we're going to run the ball, if they're not in a position to stop us, which it doesn't seem like they could be, there's a couple of plays on their defensive linemen that I'm sure can give us some trouble. But it's like we just had the best performance of both of our guards that we could have possibly asked for last week. And I don't see how all of a sudden that could just instantly change like that. So we have that. We have the consistency in terms of like run blocking that Caleb McGarry provides. Consistency of Jake Matthews just in general. I don't think this is a type of game in which we need to play cute on offense. So I don't want to see this like, oh, I'm going to motion Caleb McGarry and then I'm going to have like my tight end blocking this guy, Keith Smith, trying to do a lead block on a zone read on a 4th and 1. Like, I don't want any of that. It's not necessary. I don't know why so many teams do that when it's on a 4th and 1 situation. They suddenly like want to run the ball like it's 2005. I'm like, guys, it's not what you're doing. Like every other play in which you can consider, you've gotten at least a yard. The worst that can happen for like a pass play, well, I guess would be a pick six, but like if it's an incomplete pass, that's bad. If you get sacked, that's worse. And those kind of things. But there's plays to get around all that, and this is why like a lot of teams they'll resort to like screen plays, they'll resort to little dump offs, and they'll try to play like the really safe plays. But in doing so, they don't get a whole lot of yards out of it. At least they'll get like one or two, and that's what you need in order for that kind of play to work. You just need the 1 or 2 yards. So just do what you normally do on like your 1st and 10, second down, third down plays, because you're gonna get yards anyways. I don't know why all of a sudden it's like such a struggle for them to like try to just get the 1 yard when they'll average like 3 or 4 yards a play.
You know how we make things more complicated than they have to be.
I've just seen like, and it's not even just us, like we was watching the crap. What was that one? It was no. It was just the Cowboys Seahawks. Seahawks had a 4th and 1, and then they just like single back run play to Zach Charbonnet. I was like, yeah, of course he didn't get it because you were running straight to DeMarcus Lawrence. Like,
with no help either.
Yeah, like the pulling block or whatever just got completely turned around like a turnstile.
Pulling blocker at that point, you put if you're gonna put no fullback back there, you put 10 guys on the line and just tell them to push forward. You don't need to be having a pull blocker.
So it's like they're just they've obviously shown that they can move down the field. They had 35 points in the game at that point. And yet now's the time they want to like, oh, let's just huddle up and then just kind of inch our way just to get this one little yard. It's so pathetic, the way that certain teams play football. And I get that we can be included in that. And it's really tough to see how the entire league is just really struggling on offense. And normally you would try to like clean things up, and hopefully by the time December rolls around, you wouldn't have to deal with these problems. You can have like those momentum shifts, and you can just kind of ride the wave of either like your schedule or like the traveling matchups, like whatever's going on with your team. And for some reason, just certain teams just don't get it.
Isn't this the same team that had prime Marshawn Lynch on their team at the 1 yard line in a Super Bowl with 2 timeouts in 28 seconds and decided to throw a pass to Michael Moore, I think his name was, number 83?
Oh, no, it's Ricardo Lockett.
Yeah.
Chris Moore, I think you were referring to, who was 13. And he like came out of nowhere. I think he was like mostly known for that recovering the onside kick the game before.
Yeah.
All right. We got a question here. Do we think Ragone will stay in the box and call plays from above again?
Most likely. It helped. It was a good change of scenario and scenery. Moved the ball
Part of me
pretty
feels
well.
like depending on how bad it rains.
That too.
Like if it
It is
foggy
raining
up there,
because it
or if
is
it's like
raining
really
tomorrow.
intensely raining, then
It is raining tomorrow. That's confirmed.
but it's just a matter of like how much.
I'll check right quick. New Jersey rain weather.
Because I think that's the only thing that stops him from being up there.
Yep, it is raining tomorrow. 51 degrees. 100% chance of rain. So it'll be raining for a while. Now I'm afraid. And I'm gonna tell you why I'm afraid. MetLife Stadium, whether the Jets or the Giants have played in it, has caught a lot of bodies. And what I mean by that is there's been a lot of Achilles, there's been a lot of ankles, there's been a lot of ACLs, MCLs, sprained ankles, torn this, that, and the other. So a
I mean, heck,
rainy
this season it captured some friendly fire.
that too. Aaron Rodgers, 4 plays in, 3 plays in, my fault. Um, I am praying tomorrow that we walk out of there with no injuries because that field. This is always like I didn't really know MetLife Stadium was that bad until I seen how many Achilles they've taken this year. They're on a hot streak. That field is on a hot streak. They're on a kill streak right now. They're in the COD lobby, sweating, trick shots, everything they can do. Um, but yeah, rainy MetLife Stadium. Now the last time we played at MetLife Stadium, I think we walked out of there with no injuries, so that's the good thing. Um, what was that? 2017. No one got injured that day, did they? Did Devontae?
It's not
No,
that
no.
I.
Devontae was out with a concussion. I'm pretty sure no one walked out. I'm pretty sure we walked out of there with no injuries or minimal injuries. So hopefully that
Yeah.
same that we had um can come back and help us win a game tomorrow, a much needed game because with a Saints team that might not have Chris Olave, probably won't have Rashid Shaheed, is playing a very irritated Bucks. I mean, not Bucks team, Lions team. So yeah,
Oh my goodness, they're gonna pick them clean like three dogs looking at a three-legged cat in an alley.
never heard that saying before, but they probably will do that. It will be a slaughter. I'm just gonna be honest with you that is probably gonna be a bad sight. Uh,
The only problem that I would have so far is like there's a possibility that the Jets do win this game. And if that's the case, we end up with the same record. I just don't like how that feels.
because we're a better team than the Jets. We are. Just gonna be
Right.
honest. But
Like maybe if you go like full health versus full health, it'll be a much like better contest for both of us.
I mean, the only
But as
full
far as
health
like who
thing they're
they have to
missing is
throw out there on the field,
to be honest, the only full health thing they're missing is Aaron. The old line is fully healthy. They're just garbage. Their weapons are healthy. They're just a lot of healthy scratch. Like Alan Lazard has been a healthy scratch for like the last 2 weeks. So I don't know if he's going to end up playing tomorrow. Um, the only injury that I may, um, yeah, no, I don't remember any injuries on their defense. They're a fully healthy defense. So, yeah, the only full health thing you could really say is that Aaron isn't playing. But even with that O line, I don't think anyone's succeeding behind that. So
I mean that's even stranger. It's just it's almost like the Bears situation where like they talked a lot of crap over the offseason about like how good they're gonna be, like automatic playoff push, almost Super Bowl contenders, and all this and that. And then they lose the quarterback, which at the time was a big deal, but they still beat the Bills, right? And that very momentous, emotional game for them. And it was supposed to like carry on throughout the season. And then they realized who they had the quarterback, and it was like, oh crap, like we're not going to be able to survive. And yet
mhm.
somehow, some way, this is a real thing in the real world. This team beat the Eagles,
They held them to 14 points too,
the only team to beat the Eagles.
with Zach Wilson at the helm. And Zach Wilson's still the number 3 quarterback, so he can't even play tomorrow unless Tim Boyle and who's the backup? Case Keenum or somebody gets hurt tomorrow. So won't have to worry about him.
It's
This is
like,
also Tim Boyle, the same quarterback that threw through 3 quarters last week, went 7 of 11, 35 yards, and an interception going into the third quarter last week against an injured Dolphins team.
It's really as if their spirit just died somewhere. I
Really,
don't know. Maybe MetLife took that too.
maybe. You never know. Their spirit left when Aaron left. I'm just going to be honest with you. After they realized that we're
Jarvis, it's been a while since we've seen you. Good to catch you
man,
here.
what's going on, Jarvis? But yeah, I don't really know. It's like that weird game because you can't say it's a trap game because we're not like a 10-1, 9-3 type of team. So you can't really say it's a trap game. But you also can't say this is like a cakewalk because we're one loss from being the same record. And this is also the same team that is taking the Dolphins to their last brink because the Dolphins didn't really break away until the fourth quarter. They beat the Eagles. They nearly beat the Bills.
Well, they did the first week.
Oh, yeah, they did the first week. My fault.
They almost beat Kansas City, too.
Almost beat Kansas City.
They did beat Denver,
And
which now that's starting to seem like a real thing.
Yeah, because Denver's on a 5-game win streak right now. I mean, they've beaten a lot. They've played a lot of good teams and taken them to the last brink. They've also beaten a couple of good teams, and they've beaten the best team in the NFL. Now, you could say any Sunday, any week, any Sunday, which is true, but still, they have some wins under their belt. And to be honest, after the Arizona, really, not even after the Titans game, I really don't take any team lightly anymore. Because we should be 7-4 right now, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, this game right here.
Now it could be just something as simple as like, all right, well, in terms of like our opponent, because the one thing that really bothered me was how our defense was, right? Within those stretch of 3 games. Because, yeah, we were still, like I said, we were still scoring like 24, 25 points. And we're still kind of doing that right now. By and large, that should be enough to win a lot of football games if you have a good defense, which we still do, given what happened last week. Now, I don't think of the threat. I don't think of the Jets as a bigger threat than what we had to take last week in terms of like what they could do. Now, I don't know if you remember that. I pretty much called the entire game when I went on that little rant last week.
Interception. We didn't call the pick six, but we did call the interception.
Yeah, McGee did say that Jesse would get one.
Oh, yeah, I did. Man. He probably going to get one tomorrow. He always seems
I
to
did
get
say that Taysom Hill would have like a rushing opportunity in the red zone, and then Jesse Bates took that opportunity away from them.
fumbled.
I was saying that, like, you know, up until the concussion to Olave, that they were going to try to use him for like that one little deep throw, you know, and stuff like that. And like, yeah, Derek Carr
used it. They used it.
Yeah,
he just
so they had 300 something yards. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm gonna start calling Derek Carr the empty yards emperor.
Oh yeah, there's Saints over there. It's like a Saints podcast, Saints channel. Kind of old bald guy. Has now a little night theme music. Anytime he says "empty yards emperor," it's like a sound that goes off. Why I know that, I don't know. I've just been watching Saints fans panic and plead for somebody to be fired, released, or both. So it's been pretty fun to watch that all week. And yeah.
Still kind of waiting for the person to show up in the chat that was like, "Oh, Saint Antonio." I didn't like bring him up because I was like, it's not us for, you know, we let our play do the talking, and it definitely did. So Jarvis is asking like, "Hey, we keep hearing that people want to trade for Justin Fields, and we don't understand the logic behind it. They say really it's not it, but want Justin Fields who's done what?" Well, remember when he ran like 20 miles an hour
Oh
against
yeah, I
the Vikings?
think it was 21.6
He was
something.
like slightly faster than Jesse Bates on his pick six.
Yeah, might have been
Oh, you mean
20.
like on the field, like actual accomplishments? I don't know much about that
Um,
because
he did have that little
apart from
stretch.
that,
He had this little stretch when they played the Broncos and the Vikings, I think, where he threw for like 5 touchdowns, no picks, and like 600 yards in those 2 weeks. Before he got hurt. Other like Justin Fields, this is the weird thing about Justin Fields. Justin Fields has these weird stretches where he looks like a top 10 quarterback and then comes back down to earth either by injury, by having a terrible game, or by both.
trying to
But
figure
yeah,
out.
yeah. He hasn't really done anything. Now, of course, the team hasn't
He's
helped him out either.
he's he's won 7 games, guys.
In 3 years, and started all 3 of those years too.
Well, he didn't have to say all that. I mean, what does Desmond Ritter have? How many wins does he have in terms of totality? Um.
6-4, I think. 6-4.
Oh, he also has 7 wins.
Oh yeah, that he is
Oops.
now. I think he's now seven and
He's
nine.
tied with Justin Fields already in career wins.
Just Justin
Probably
Fields.
shouldn't have said that out loud.
Just Justin Fields is like 7-33. I think 7-20. I mean 7-32, something like that.
Yeah, I do think the appeal for like other rookie quarterbacks are there more than like a veteran such as Justin. I don't even know if I can call him a veteran because he still makes rookie mistakes like that. You know, like 3 years in, you still
Throwing in double coverage,
yeah, you
not
look like you need to
protecting
go
the
back in the
ball,
oven, man.
having
But they can't
fumbles.
afford it.
But the thing
So
is, though, I would rather take Michael Penix or Jaden Daniels over Justin Fields. Jaden Daniels to me is like a better Justin Fields, better passer. I don't know about better arm strength, but better accuracy, about the same mobility, breaks tackles. He's just not as big as him. He's like 6'2", 215. Justin's like 6'3", 230.
well,
So
we'll see what like conditioning can do for him in the future.
yeah, but
You know,
I would most
see if he
likely
like goes up to a certain playing weight. Because yeah, Justin's like 6'3", 230, but I don't know what he's done with it. Now we talked about like injuries and stuff. I like our depth at a lot of different positions.
just not the linebacker depth right now.
Sure. Um,
Oh, speaking of that, is Landman playing tomorrow? Have we heard anything on that? Because they said he had a thigh injury Tuesday, Wednesday.
he had a limited practice with his thigh. He's not listed as out. His status is still kind of unknown.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure Matt Collins and Mike Hughes are going to play though, for whatever that's worth.
Mackie Mac is
Um,
back. Mac attack.
let's hope he's an attack.
To be
um,
honest, he probably still has that wide receiver two position. Van Jefferson hasn't really done much to take that.
I again like again with the like the depth chart positions. It's not so much like he's fighting for wide receiver two. He's kind of fighting for like who's the fifth person to get the ball. That's kind of where I see it as.
Because now you got Jonu, Kyle, Drake, Tyler,
Bijan.
Bijan. So who's the fifth read now? If we go into five, we have all those guys out there. Who's going to be the? Oh, Can't forget the sixth guy really, because now you got CP starting to come back into life. So it's the sixth guy to touch the ball. Maybe seventh, because Scotty Miller has his deep shots.
Maybe eighth because Michael Pruitt exists, and
Maybe
Arthur
ninth.
just won't let
Parker
him go.
Histon, Keith Smith has been getting a lot of passes this year. Maybe ninth.
Yeah, we could do that. That other play action like wheel route that we had against the Texans. We can do
Maybe
that again.
10th. We have been running a lot of read options lately. Desmond has been carrying the ball a lot lately. So maybe 10th.
Yeah, because
I like how
he
we're
can
just
call his own
naming.
number.
I like how we're just naming all these ways he's not going to touch the ball, and we really only have the ball like 45, 50 plays out of the game.
But they're legit reasons because
Yeah.
Arthur Smith just gave us that. Like, we're
If
not just pulling
Bijan
these names out of thin air.
has another game where he touches the ball 20 times, and then Drake touches the ball 7 times, and then Tyler Algier touches the ball 10 times, and then CP touches the ball 8 times. Worries, because I think the Saints game was the first game Jonah hasn't had a pass caught all year, or he wasn't targeted all year. Because I don't remember a Jonah catch all game. Keith Smith had that one in the flats. I don't think Jonah was targeted that game. Let me check right quick just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't even targeted in that game last week. Hang on, man. Okay, Saints, Falcons, players. No, player stats. Not you, ugly Saints.
So,
yeah,
Josh, I don't
he
know
never
what
had a catch last
say
week.
about. All right, that's good to know. I don't know what to really say about this because you're talking to a man that hasn't really played this since season. Like, his talent and potential is clearly there. As far as like Troy Anderson.
Troy's just been a wild card, you could say. That was always a wild card pick, to be honest. You were really just drafting off of potential because there's not a lot of linebackers that run a 4-3 in the NFL.
I think because of what happened when they were taken on our team. I mean, are you going to say that it doesn't exist for most of these players?
Shoot, that's what he was drafted.
You're going to say that he has no potential and no upside?
I mean, that's basically what he was drafted off of. I mean,
yeah. If it's built in, you got to talk about it. It's like a steering wheel in a car. You can have a problem with the steering wheel in your car, or you can praise the steering wheel in your car. It's going to be built in no matter what. But you can't like drive the car and not think that the steering wheel doesn't exist.
You also have to realize he was that year that we drafted him was his first full year playing linebacker because he's been.
What I was also going to say is that I think that we think about Grant and Anderson different if Dean Pease stayed.
Oh, definitely.
I think he had a plan for them in a much more significant way than what Ryan Nielsen does. Not saying that he can't work on them and then like improve them too, but like what you were saying here, yeah, Grant's been very more missed than hit in coverage. Anderson, I can't talk about him because he hasn't played this year, but like Landman's been pretty good. So, and I do agree that linebackers have been easier for us to find, thanks in part to like finding guys like Foye, who was a 6th-round pick out of Yale. I think he was like kind of playing safety too at some point. But you also got to remember, like, we didn't have a whole lot of names there at the time. So, like, Foye, yeah, we had to let go because of salary cap purposes, which now we don't have to worry about. So we could, find someone else. But I don't think it's fair to talk about a person that's been out for the entire season and be like, oh, well, what are we doing with this guy?
I mean,
If we want to talk about weird picks that Terry's made,
Matt Hennessy. Well, no, wait, no, that was the year before him. Jalen Mayfield. That may be the weird one.
I was going to say D'Angelo Malone.
That too. Guy hasn't touched the field all year, but maybe one
he's
game.
He's never had an injury problem. And yeah, I just never see him on the field.
I've seen him a couple of plays during the Arizona game. Everything else he's just but you don't spend a third round pick on a special team guy. Those are the 5th, 6th, 7th, maybe even the 4ths, but there are a lot of 4th round picks I can use. But those are the 5th, 6th, and 7th round and undrafted guys, and late $1 to $2 million signings you make in free agency. You don't spend a third round pick mainly on a special team guy. And I don't know if it's just that he's just like he can't beat out Bud and Lorenzo and AK and Calais for DN play time, but at this point, after Grady going down, Calais isn't getting any younger. I mean, he literally just went down twice in between like 3 drives in the Saints game last week. I would think it would be better. I mean, and it's not like he didn't make any plays last year. He made plays when he was on the field. It wasn't like, oh my goodness, there's D'Angelo Malone, but he made plays last year. So that would probably be like if we weren't going to play the guy on defense and we're going to play him on special teams, what was the point of spending a third round pick when there were a lot of guys that went right after him or went around later that you could have took that are being very successful right now? That could be at a point of concern for us too, especially wide receiver, because Amon-Ra St. Brown was right there. He didn't go into the 4th round.
And it's like, I don't even care about like, oh, well, he can't beat up Bud Dupree and Lorenzo Carter, because you got to have a rotation. You got to have like packages meant for certain players, so that they can get on the field so you can see what you have in them. And it's like, yeah, we might see him on the field like maybe like 2 or 3 times out of the entire game, but that's not enough to serve any kind of sample size if you want to keep him around long term. And you're trying to put him in a room that has Ebiketie with him, which, like, yeah, he's really technical, he's quick, I think he's a good learner, so I like him moving forward. He's not going to get like the biggest sack number, which everyone was kind of harping on him for, because that's just how people overvalue that stat number. And now you have Zach Harrison. Like, all right, cool. Big body. He's going to be like the successor to Calais Campbell in the system, and I trust him to do that. I think he's done pretty well so far. And then you have Malone as like a speed guy. But if you're trying to have like a speed package for him, then make him more useful. Like, maybe design a blitz for him. Just let me know that he can do his job, because that's what I don't know. I know that Troy Landerson can be a good linebacker because I've seen him have games like that. I know that Richie Grant can, kind of save us a few times because he did that beforehand. But that's kind of the only one. And it's a bit cherry picking, and I know, but well, if the last defensive coordinator didn't like Malone, I mean, it was Dean Pease that drafted him.
I mean, he was planning on using him, obviously.
Ryan,
he got a lot of playtime.
Like I said, Ryan did draft Zach Harrison, and I do agree with that, especially if we wanted to bring in Calais. But it's just really picky. Really picky.
Can't really,
So
can't really tell the
okay,
coach to play a player. I would if we could. I would love to see Clark Phillips out there instead of Mike Hughes, but hey,
I mean we could. I mean we're not really often in dime packages to really showcase him because D Alford covers the other slot really well. Um, I could try to experiment with him outside, given that it's Tim Boyle. Because I think that him against Garrett Wilson, that could be a good like iron sharpens iron moment for him. I don't know if I trust that like consistently throughout the rest of the game, but hey, give him a couple of reps out there and see what he can do. Because I mean, he was brought in to be that really like technical guy, and so I want to see what he's learned. And I think that Garrett Wilson is a decent receiver. Got a lot of production, really good with his route run, and like if you don't like the matchup with the quarterback on other occasions, then at least trust him here. Like if you can't trust Clark Phillips outside against a good receiver with a bad quarterback throwing to him, can you trust him in the slot then when you eventually face a good one?
he's going to have to play soon.
Because cover your ears, Josh. I like his potential and upside. All right, you can open him back up. Um,
Speaking of what Michael said, Ryan has drafted some of his guys, like Clark Phillips, like um why am I forgetting all the guys we took in the draft last year?
DeMarco Helms,
Yeah, DeMarco Hellams, which that has turned out very, very good for us.
apart from the fine, which
Oh, hey, I don't care about that fine, man. He did what he was supposed to do. I told myself as soon as that 50-yard penalty, I was like, I don't care what happens on. I don't care if they score a touchdown on this drive because of that 15-yard penalty. That is what the meaning of a rivalry is. If you smack somebody like that and put them on the ground and put them in pain, celebrate. Talk your stuff, man. Just go, oh, my fault, man. I shouldn't have hit you that hard. No, man, talk your stuff. I'm glad he did that. I'm glad we have dogs on our team now, man. So glad. We don't have powder puff guys. We don't have guys that just, oh, well, it happened, so it's okay. We lost 35-38. We let up 5 touchdowns to a 42-year-old quarterback. It's okay. But yeah, kind of he has selected some of his guys. Okay, hold on. So let me think about this. Bijan first round, Bergeron second round. Who did we take in the third? Or did we
Zach
trade?
Harrison,
Oh yeah, Zach. Oh yeah, so he did. That was one of his guys. Clark,
and then
Helms.
it was just Helms and Gwynn.
Yeah. So yeah, he has selected some of his guys. It just hasn't been top prospects. Speaking of this question though, one player that I do think fits in this system would be Jared Verse, 6'4", 260, very flexible, moves fast. Um, Kind of reminds me of Myles Garrett, but not as polished as Garrett was back in college. I mean, in college, but he does remind me of Myles Garrett, just not as buff and big.
Hmm. But like that's a first round pick though, right there.
Yeah, he is projected to go in the range where our pick is, which is in between like 16 and 22. But with how the stock of players rise and drop, like literally seeing Jalen Carter go from a number one lock pick to he didn't go to pick 9. Was a lot of first rounders that was supposed to go in the first round that didn't go. Bergeron is a great example of that.
Don't even get me started on Trayvon Walker.
Oh yeah, Trayvon Walker was supposed to be a fringe third round player. 3 months later, he's the number one pick in the draft, ahead of the guy that was supposed to be the number one pick in Aiden Hutchinson. So Yeah.
Would you agree with this statement about him?
Yeah. He moves like him. Like he just can't play linebacker. That's the only thing. Like Parsons plays a linebacker too. But edge rusher wise, yeah, I agree with that. He is a big.
At this point, it's really hard to believe that Micah Parsons was ever a middle linebacker.
That's a yeah. He's just you don't get a lot of players like Michael Parsons. Like when was the last time you say you had a guy that can get 20 sacks off the edge but can go play middle linebacker and play coverage? Now, do you want him playing coverage or would you rather have him playing edge rusher? Of course, you all know the answer, but
I mean,
yeah,
probably the last guy is Von Miller.
Von Miller play linebacker.
I mean, I've seen him drop in coverage before.
True.
As a
But
matter of
we've
fact, there
also
was a
seen him play.
championship game. There was a championship game in which he dropped back in his own coverage and picked off Brady.
But we've also had Calais Campbell drop back in coverage. So I feel like they just say if you can move, you can move. But also, speaking of the Calais Campbell coverage thing, never have him jam or stun a tight end or wide receiver again. That is one of the worst things I've ever seen. And then him trying to like hurry up and move back to get to an offensive lineman and get him out, like, no, never, ever again. Just keep him at the D line inside. Tell him to go get the quarterback. Don't ever tell him to jam a wide receiver again.
It's just
Especially a
bullshit.
slot wide receiver.
All right. So apart from that, if we don't like our depth in a certain position, who's like the one player you don't want injured in this game?
Okay, I'm back. My fault. Bad outcome. This
Did you hear
game
my
is.
question?
Oh no, it is not. No, I didn't.
Okay. I was like, all right, well, given how we feel about our depth so far in certain positions and our lack of in others, like who's the one player you don't want hurt in this game?
Caden Ellis.
Who's gonna prove it?
See, now if this was last year, I would have said AJ or Jesse because we had no secondary depth last year. But now we do because now you have a number of. I wouldn't say Jeff Okuda is like a number one corner, but he's a great number two. He's a terrific number two corner.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you was to like, okay, we'll put him there, but you also have safety help now. So, you have a guy that can go sideline to sideline, so you won't have to worry about anything going deep. The thing with Caden is we don't have Trey Anderson anymore. I don't really like Nate Lemon being your best linebacker out there, even though he's been great this year. It's just the way the speed Caden has, you cannot replace. Like the way he can you think he'd be beat on a couple of plays, but his speed and the way he moves gets him out of it. But then again, if he does get
I don't
hurt,
know. It kind of sounds like what D'Angelo Malone could do.
yeah, pretty much. I think that's what he's been doing though. Like they have him at that. They put, from what I've seen on the depth chart, he's not listed as an edge rusher anymore. He's listed as an outside linebacker that like is like Nate Lamb, and like he's our outside linebacker. So he doesn't play edge rusher anymore. He plays linebacker from what I've seen. He also trained him and AK trained with the linebackers too a little bit. Mostly him though.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say it. I don't want this person injured. Young Wei Koo. I
Oh
don't
god.
want him. I don't want to see him anywhere near that injury report.
If I hear whoever the reporter is tomorrow say Young Kweku will not be returning to the game, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it because now that you think about it, I want y'all to seriously think about this. What are we gonna do if we score a touchdown every single drive, but we have to go for two because we can't go for an extra point? Or if we're at the 40-yard line and we need a game-winning field goal, but we have to score a touchdown because our kicker is out of the game. I don't even want to think about that.
Now, unless if we have like I
A
can't remember the
linebacker that could
Texans.
kick.
No, I can't remember the Texans running back that did it.
I think. Oh, it wasn't the running
Dare.
back. It was the safety. Jalen Petrie did it. The
No,
rookie.
it wasn't him.
Oh, I do remember
I
the
think it's
Texans safety a couple of
Ogun
weeks ago.
Dolly or something like that. Because they
Maybe.
did it against the Bucks.
You remember what number you wore?
That was 30. I want to say.
Uh,
I think I heard somewhere of that too. That we brought some. I don't know if we just brought someone in or we signed them.
we had
But
tryouts for him. He made
yeah,
the team, but yeah, he's on the team now. If we needed him, we couldn't use him because he's inactive on game day. So unless we was like take Taylor Heineke's shoulder pads and helmet right quick and go kick a field goal for us, which is kind of illegal and couldn't do. But um yeah. Both of those guys, also Jesse. I seen somebody put in Jesse earlier. That would be a
yeah.
big blow. Because I
Because
do
like you
not.
said, like you were talking about your safety help, and it's like if you remove Jesse Bates, and we already know what we feel about Richie Grant, like you don't have that comfort back there. And
To
given all
be
that he's
honest,
done in the last game, he's the only person to win the Defensive Player of the Week twice.
and to be honest, other than Jesse, we have a bunch of box safeties on our team. Unless Micah Abernathy is some type of
He's
sideline to
more of a.
sideline type guy. But
I would trust him as that.
see, Richie
He
used to
just
be
doesn't have
that.
the experience and playmaking ability, though.
Yeah. Richie used to be that in college until he got here and realized he couldn't do that. So now he's a box safety. He's better as a box safety anyway. There's a lot of high end single high safeties in college that end up transitioning there just because of the speed or whatever factor that caused it. But um yeah, he's that's one. I was about to say DeMarco Hellams, but DeMarco Hellams is a purified box safety now. He's a Keanu Neal but smaller and faster.
Which
Oh,
I'll take if he's got the tenacity for it.
did we ever talk about how Keanu Neal, if he was just a little bit faster, would probably be one of the best safeties of all time? And then get
Or
injured.
like another tailor-made situation.
Yeah.
Clay Melton, I want that for him like so badly because I think he's like, I don't know how close he is on the spectrum in which I was of the belief of when we drafted him, because I was like, dude, I see his build, I see his length, I see his technical skills, I see his burst of acceleration, I see the bend, I see a lot of traits that resemble Justin Houston, and I think he's fairly close to almost being our Justin Houston. Which, if that can happen, like, I don't think you need to worry about a Jared Verse anymore because he could become that. You know,
True. But Jared Verse and AKG
like
sound great.
We just got done talking about D'Angelo Malone. I was like, that was my biggest concern. I was like, how come I don't see him enough in certain packages? And I do think that Zach Harrison has stepped up. Like, I think his role, given that he's a rookie, given that he's still kind of learning behind Calais in some respects, he'll get more opportunities next season. Absolutely. And then if we're talking like all-time scale, Koo is already better than Bryant. But as far as like our attachment to Bryant for what he's done with us in those other big moments, like Koo hasn't gotten there yet because we haven't taken him to the playoffs. So he could just be as special for us. But like in terms of accuracy and just in terms of like kicking, Who is better, like objectively? That's one of the few things in which you can be objective about. But who's the best kicker of all time now? So go ahead and say it while you still can. Not that anything can happen with him now, but just feels good to say it.
Man, oh man, 90% of his kicks of all time went through. If that's not clutch, I don't know what is. Now, given the fact that he's kicked about 200 less field goals than Justin Tucker, I don't care. He has 90%. Justin Tucker has 89.9. Argue with a wall. Young Hoiku is the best kicker of all time. Argue with your mom.
Now he's gonna need some like I said, some momentous kicks to go in
Like
our
a
favor, and he's
65
got
yard.
some, but like those kicks pretty much only matter to us. They don't matter like the rest of the league. Like the Jake Elliott kick that the Eagles had to send that game in overtime, like 60 something yards in the rain, heavy wind, like that kind of moment.
I think it was
Like
like
unless
60
Koo
on the
has
dot.
that kind of kick, then yeah,
I think it was 60 on the dot. He has hit that
probably.
before because I remember his rookie year when they were playing the Washington Redskins, which is what they were named back then. It was like his third career game or second career game, and he kicked like a 61-yard field goal for the win. I thought it was 55. Oh wait, no,
I
he
was
he
thinking
missed that.
55 too.
He missed
I
that.
think he practices from 55, but like in
Yeah,
game.
yeah. I don't. I think the longest one he's took was a 59-yarder against the Saints last year during that first game, and he tried kicking it low because you're supposed to like kind of kick it low so it can go longer, and it got blocked. So yeah.
Oh yeah, speaking of which, he's also a really like amazing onside kicker
Oh yeah, that
too,
too. I haven't
which
attempted
you
one of
don't
those.
always have like the best of both of them. I was saying as long as they don't draft Chop from Penn State, then again, Parsons didn't have the best of numbers coming out of college either from Penn State. Maybe he can turn into a superstar. Yeah, that's why like numbers are really weird to go off of. Like film is a
He
lot
doesn't
easier
have
than
as
the
much
eyes.
potential as Chop. I mean, as Parsons does though. Parsons was like he was talked about drafted into like the top, like at our pick, but Chop is kind of like that late first rounder. Oh no, maybe if he, you know, picks up like because he's like a freak athlete. So of course the combine and his pro day, his stock is gonna rise. But as far as on the field production in the last 4 years, dude has 11 and a half sacks. I think he has 3.5 this year, a couple of tackles for loss, but he hasn't been that amazing type of guy. The only reason he's really thought about going in the first round is because of his freakish athleticism. Like he's like 6'3", 255, but runs like he's 6'1", 210, or and moves like it too.
Mm.
But yeah, how do we get from talking about the Jets and our injuries to the draft that's in like 145, 140 some days?
Because
I
we were
gotta
talking
give,
about like depth and stuff and like ways to get around it.
I gotta give us some time,
Um,
and we're not supposed to be talking about the draft till March. Really, not even till
yeah.
late March because we got free agency. So give me some time. I ain't even did a mock draft yet.
Especially because the behavior of of free agency is always important to cover first because then that changes a lot of like angles around the draft as far as like, oh, could we just stay where we are and take someone that we like, or do we have to trade up for something else just to kind of cap off the off season?
It's the
You
reason
don't
the
know,
Cardinals
but at
traded
least
up
we'll have the
Eric
money for it.
Johnson.
All right, so outside of the scoreboard, um, what's a great outcome for us to have? Like, if we want to continue, because I'm still kind of under the impression that like this is probably going to be a run heavy offense. So I can't put expectations on Ritter. But I do want to have him like no turnover game. If
That
he
would be
can do
great.
that, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
we
start.
haven't had a no turnover game since week one. No, 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 week three. That was the last time we had a zero turnover game. No fumbles, no interceptions, just a clean game where we
I mean,
got beat.
unless turnover on downs counts, we had that against the Lions.
Oh yeah, but that was it. Everything else, as far as the ball,
Um, Brees Hall is starting. I think Cook is out.
I forgot. I was thinking about Cook. I forgot he was on the team. To be honest, because they released Michael Carter and they still don't use him. I thought it was because maybe the running back room so crowded, so now you start giving Cook some more.
Didn't they have
Uh,
James Robinson at one point too? What the heck happened to that guy?
um, he went from being a top 10 back on the Jaguars until he got to till Urban Meyer got to him, and he went from like a top 10 back to he's been a journeyman um since then. Hasn't been on the team for longer than 2 months since he got released by the Jaguars in 2022.
Now,
First,
now here's what's going to be crazy though: is that if we don't give up a touchdown against our last opponent, and yet we give up a touchdown against the Jets, I feel like that would sting them a little bit more. you know?
it'd have to be the only reason I could say that they got a touchdown, or the only reason I wouldn't be upset, is just okay. They somehow got like a punt return or a turnover, and they
Oh,
got it in
Trey,
like
don't say
the
that.
and then got it in like the red zone, and they just scored, and it's like, oh god, here goes the Falcons again. They're up 20-0. Then here goes that big play, and now they're up 20-7. About to sell the game to Tim Boyle, but we end up scoring again. So that's the only way I really want to see them score. I don't want to see them score at all. I'd rather them kick 2 field goals and we blow them out like 20 something, 30 something to 6. But with us, you never know. Um, Garrett Wilson is still on the team. He's really been the only reason that offense has been somewhat uh I can't even say functional because they haven't even been functional. I say somewhat man. He's really the reason they aren't the worst offense in the league. Garrett Wilson has scored every touchdown. I mean, not every touchdown, but he scored a lot of touchdowns this season. Obviously, been a number one wide receiver, having that your wide receiver core consists of him, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, and nope, you let go of Braxton Berrios. Corey Davis retired. Um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Other than him, Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, and Randall Cobb, which the
The
last two
Jets
months.
defense is solid, just not against the run.
Oh yeah, they're a great passing defense. They create a lot of turnovers. They got great shutdown corners. Their safety, James White, is pretty good. Number three.
Wasn't
They got
there
two
because I know
linebackers.
that last year we had the preseason game against them, and I can't remember if Desmond Ritter actually got to face against Sauce Gardner.
I think he set that game because remember Dez played all the way into the fourth because they let Felipe
But
come in.
here's where the crazy part can happen because they're college teammates. Like Sauce might know a lot about Desmond, but Desmond might know a lot about Sauce too.
They've also grown since then, but people always say that your college tendencies, or some of them, the good ones, still come with you. And Sauce did jump a lot of routes when he was in college. Still does now. He just doesn't catch them as often as he did back in college.
So with Jarvis spitting here, he thinks CP is gonna have a like either I wouldn't say like the bulk of the carries, but he might have a couple of explosive plays.
He just has to break away from somebody because I don't know. Maybe it's just the way he runs kickoffs. He just jogs the kickoffs. Because I watched the our special teams coordinator talk. He was like, with the rule change and everything, we don't really take out a lot of kicks. I think we're taking out like 10 kicks this year. Everything else has been touchbacks, so we just let them be touchbacks. So, yeah,
I
they
could
don't.
see this one being a situation where like the kicker can't kick it like through the end zone because of the
mm,
weather conditions,
Shoot, he
and
might try.
maybe jogging is all you need in order to like slip past a couple of tacklers from Cordero, because if it's already raining, if he's gonna have a slippery thing, I don't know. I like his chances to at least do something on a kick return.
And how angry he ran last week. That man can do anything.
Which, by the way, I gotta get a shirt with him on the Angry Runs thing.
How much does that shirt cost? Like $15,
Probably like
$20?
probably 40, honestly. It's a it's a good investment. It's not something that I can do right now because a lot of financial responsibilities propped upon me, like all at once. Um, and we should be featuring the tight end and running back. That's you just described our entire offense already. Like it's the wide receivers that don't get enough love.
Hold up, no. Give me like 2 minutes.
All right. So yeah, anything else you guys want to think about? Like I can't say as far as defensively, like what kind of performance we would have as far as like turnovers, but I do think that we can get a couple extra turnovers. Especially given the performance we just had last week with Jesse Bates alone. Um, so I do like our chances for them like trying to throw themselves back into this game. Abandons the option to use Brees Hall, which is like their biggest threat because it takes away from like Tim Boyle having to touch it and do anything with it. How many sacks did the Dolphins get against him? That's what I'm gonna try to look up right now. Because we could kind of replicate that. Uh, yeah, they sacked him 7 times.
I was gonna say 6, but 7's even better. We can get it like 4, 5.
Yeah, it's very possible. I do think Ellis could have a sack. An interception would be really fun to see for him. Just trying to figure out like how he would do it because I don't know how often like Tim Boyle throws in the middle. Maybe he could like try to snag a screenplay.
Tip pass.
Yeah, something like that. Jeff could get one because, like, if you're Tim Boyle, I don't know why in dog's green earth would you try to go up out and test AJ Terrell. So yeah, go ahead and lob one up to him. See what happens. Mess around, find out, please. What else are we thinking here? Because with these two, like with these two teams, like the possibilities are literally endless. I'm just reading this now. The Jets had 29 rushing yards the entire game against Miami last week. Yikes. And then, of course, like Miami had 37 rushing attempts, 167 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns.
They were also
one of them, Raheem Mostert didn't even want to score. Like,
oh yeah, They were also the reason I lost my fantasy game because Raheem Mostert and who else was that? Tua Tagovailoa put up a combined 50 points. I was already down 53-17 in the first. He still had like 8 more players in the defense to play, so I was screwed from the beginning. But yeah, is it me or else the Dolphins been a pretty, I wouldn't say great, but a pretty decent running team this year. Like
Well, you
they
have
found
Raheem Mostert. He's like second in rushing and leads the entire league in rushing touchdowns.
also got Devon
It's not just
A-Chain before
you.
he got
Like,
injured. A-Chain also was going off before he got injured.
yeah.
Hopefully he comes back from it. Looks great. Ooh, Jarvis, thank you. A D offered pick six. I was just thinking about this earlier before what happened that I told you about. But a D offered pick six.
Dude, if we could just get like an out route, and the same one that Deron Bland picks off like every single time.
He has every single one of his pick sixes has been an out route, hasn't it? Every single one. He just jumps every out route that there is. I'm pretty sure the pick six he had against Washington, out route. Seattle, out route.
Patriots,
Washington, out route. Patriots, out route.
Rams.
Rams, out route. Okay, if you notice that that's his best route to guard, why do you keep running it against him? And
At least do a
specifically
double
him.
move, man. Like,
And it's like they like they don't even do that. They're just like, oh, instead of me kind of edging inside it, gonna cut outside. Yeah, how about we just make this ordinary out route? And I'm just gonna let you read it because he takes those like those are cookies for him. Like it's just some slide. I do this. Man, oh man.
so yeah, he's a fantasy team saver if you have the Cowboys, but he's a fantasy team destroyer if you're anyone else.
Man, I was one pick away from taking the Cowboys defense. One pick. They're the best fantasy defense in the league, and I was one pick away. One pick.
I have the Chiefs in mine.
I have the Broncos and Bills. You can tell how that's going
I
for
also
me.
had the Jets for a little bit, which I'm not starting them now.
Oh yeah, no.
But I
Should
also
I
didn't like
start
Kansas
Kyle
City
Pitts
going up
tomorrow?
against Green Bay. That might be fine.
Oh, there's. Do we should I start KP tomorrow? Do you just have that feeling he'll catch one? Because I have Evan Ingram over him right now.
I've been keeping Ingram for a little bit too. You know what? Sure. Like, because you have Quincy Williams, the other Williams brother. And it's like he's kind of a pass rusher in that type. I don't think CJ Mosley is. I kind of forget that he's on the team for them.
He's also been a great.
Let's see
He
what's
hasn't been
going
like
on.
top 10. I mean, top
Oh
five,
yeah,
but he's
DJ
been a linebacker.
Reed.
Oh yeah, that's the other corner
Yeah,
before.
CJ Mosley. He's still around. He had 14 tackles just that other game.
Yep. He's not one
I
of
would
those
still
guys when
trust.
he's
I would still trust Pitts over that, and I'd want Desmond to do the same thing. Trust that matchup.
he's not a coverage linebacker though. That's what makes it even better. He's not even a coverage line. He has the speed for it. He's just not a coverage linebacker. And anytime he's 1-on-1 with like a good tight end or running back, it doesn't end well.
And I was saying this too, like either stream. Like I think Seattle was a good team despite the result that he got against San Francisco. They're playing their hearts out, but it's just when you play a pathetic 4th-and-1 play, and then the 20,000 penalties didn't help either for the 250 something penalty yardage that it total up. That was annoying. It's like there was one drive over there where they were responsible for like allowing 6 first downs for Dallas because the Seahawks just couldn't stop the penalties.
217 yards worth of penalties.
Hey,
That's more penalty yards than Desmond Ritter had passing yards last week. And he
you
threw
don't
the
have to
ball
say that,
21
but like,
times.
you know.
I mean, I'm just saying, not to like trash on Ritter, but like that is insane. That is insane. They had 11 less penalty yards than we had rushing yards last week. And all of those are all for like 17 penalties. So each penalty is averaging like 20 something yards at least. I'm pretty
That's ridiculous.
unless you had 17 false starts, but I'm pretty sure you can have 17 false starts. Yeah, that's 85 yards right there. Yeah. So can't do that one.
So it's around this time in the stream in which we can give ourselves our final predictions if you guys want to drop them off in the chat. And meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and get what we normally do around this time.
Score
Straight
freaking
up 4 up.
predictions.
I chose one that has the Jets in it.
Yeah.
And we'll see what we do here. All right, so I think I let you go first last time, right?
Yeah, you did.
All right. I'll take my chances here. Let's see. Good amount of teams here. 3,000-yard passing season. Just to recap, 3,000 yards passing yards must be achieved in a season with that team. Okay. All right. I don't like the fact that you're still choosing a really like low number. I don't know what this represents. Like, you mean to tell me that after all this talk and we're still gonna only win by 3? I will say it's better than the freaking 3-2 prediction that Adam Rank gave us.
How is that even that it's possible, but like, why would you put that?
How is it possible that like that's the only scoring the entire game? Come on, guys.
3-2. That's probably got to be the most boring game of all time, and I mean like boring.
Like, come on, man. I don't want it to be like, oh, we made the freaking Patriots Giants game watchable or the freaking Bears Vikings. The defense doesn't scare me. Dude, last week's defense would have scared me a little bit more. And they're not them.
The Jets have probably got to be one of the worst offenses of all time right now. They literally
so, like, if we can't separate ourselves among that,
at least go about 2 scores. At least. This needs to be at least a 2-score win.
Like, I think we're kind of like overvaluing what Sauce Gardner can do here because he's not every single player on that team. Yeah, like I'm sorry, like there's nothing saving. There's nothing saving anybody if we walk away with that game. I don't even care if every single person gets injured. Like
the only person
that
be saving
fans lining up on the offensive line. I think you're kind of like missing the point.
I ain't gonna lie though. The only reason, the only side of the ball that could save is that you say you held a team to a safety the entire game. They didn't score any field goals. They scored no points on the offensive side of the ball. Offensive wise, Desmond Ritter, Arthur Smith, and everybody else will be catching strays for the next week. I don't care how good a defense is. They shouldn't hold you to 3 points the entire game, especially with the weapons you have.
Like if it if the results of that game is that painfully small,
I'm gonna be
me and Trey
irritated.
are not going to stream. we're,
Oh yeah.
we're done streaming for the rest of the season.
Oh
All
yeah.
right,
Most
like
definitely.
if that's the case, I'm done.
I don't care if the next time we stream is when we make the playoffs. If we do make the playoffs.
I mean, we'll have our own streams on Sundays, and then we can talk about that because if you're watching on the AFN and you like what we do, you can send over information to my channel, which is just my name, and then you can hit subscribe for me. I would really appreciate it if you did. And tomorrow we're gonna cover a couple of Madden games to figure out which one has the best soundtrack or like singular song between the three games. And we're going with the recent Maddens because that's right up Trey's alley. Because last time we did that, we were going up with the NFL Street Series, which was right up my alley. And now we're going to continue on that journey, but for now, we're going to work on this grid here. All right. I have not been thinking about a player this entire time since we've been talking, so we're going to see what we have here. Now, for those new, obscurity is the name of the game here. We want to be as weird with our answer and correct as well. And then if we can line up our answers like 3 in a row, either like this way, this way, this way, this way, however you want to play tic-tac-toe, is what we're doing. So if it gets too obvious of an answer, then the point goes to someone else or our opponent. And if the point is very obscure, then we get an extra guess. So, all right. Now it's all depending on where I want to start. It's usually best to start in the center, but I don't know if I can take advantage of it as cleanly. You know what? You just reminded me. Last week we had some of the music, and we'll bring it back. And we'll kind of lower the volume. We'll be at our normal pace. All right. Now you don't have to worry about doing that. All right. Let's see. I'm going to try. Wait here. Crap. Where did Chad Brown go? I thought Chad Brown was a Texan. I know he was a Seahawk, but.
Yes.
All right. Well, Trey, you go.
All right. We're going to go 3,000 yards passing season Jets. Let's go Joe Namath.
27%. Ooh, man. That is. I could have sworn Chad Brown, the linebacker, went to play for. What am I thinking of then? Crap, man. That's gonna bug me until I look it up, which I can't do right now. All right, well, let me take this spot and go with with Tevin Coleman.
I like it. All right, we're going to go 3,000-yard passing season for the Seahawks. Matt Hasselbeck.
$23. Why is that number so low? Probably Russell Wilson. He probably dominates that list.
Or Geno Smith, because he's the most recent.
Yeah, recency bias could play a factor. That's kind of why I'm like, well, now let's pay attention here.
Please be 75% higher.
What do you say?
I said, please be 45% or higher.
It's not a whole lot of quarterbacks to choose from in their history.
Really, it's only
There's the
one.
ones that have been, like, they've stayed around, so they would be obvious to guess.
The only one that's obvious is, but I don't know how obvious he'd be.
I got no choice. I got to go Jalom. Oh, okay. 28%.
Dang it. All right. I don't know why I was about to go for that spot when that's where your player is. Had a little brain fart right there. Let's see. Let's go with
Chad Brown was in New England. That's why I was confusing him with Houston. Because the same freaking color palette.
Really? You serious? No.
He spent like 2 seasons in New England. They weren't back to back somehow, but they were like later on in his career. I know that like Chad Brown was mostly like a Seahawk and like Steeler, but I thought he was a Texan. But,
All right, let's go. Oh no, how obvious this is. Well, let's go. No, I'm not gonna go him. Let's go DeJuan Brown for Seahawks Texans.
Oh, Dwayne. 17. Kind of a recent addition to Houston, I want to say. Or no, Seattle. He was a long time Houston.
Yeah, I think it was 9. Was it 8 seasons? 9 seasons?
Oh, at least. Okay, come on now.
This one's kind of hard because there's not a lot of players that play for either one of these teams that just flip-flopped. That's the hard part.
kind of is. It's just there's enough. I just can't remember their full names. Like I remember a corner, and I think his name was Reed, but that's like not enough to go off of. I don't know. Maybe if I type Reed. Kind of feels like cheating, but to be fair, I don't really know his last name, or I don't really know his first name. These only give like years. This isn't really helping me out at all. Let's see. I'm gonna choose a name. I'm gonna go. Yeah. Oh my god.
Wow. Wow. I will give you that one only because you remember the last name.
Oh my good, and I get my guess back. Cause under 1%.
You can win the game right here.
Oh, and who do I do it with? Oh. Man, I gotta clutch this one out. Ooh. David Carr, 0.3. Let's go.
You gotta be kidding me.
Man,
you know
that's
what?
stressful.
We're gonna let you have your first win since we've been doing this.
I had another one before.
No.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
We just filled out the rest of the board afterwards, but I certainly remember having one.
Oh yeah, it might have been last week. What does that mean? Well, no, it was the week. It was the week we played the Cardinals that you won.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna give the last one to you. You only have one option. Which one do you want to fill out? Which Texan do you want to fill out?
I'll go. Did Will Fuller play for the? No. Wait, no. He didn't play for the Jets. Did Will Fuller play for the freaking Panthers?
Will Fuller? Kind of remember him as a Dolphin. And don't think so. Man, who else would work here? Because these are like two recent franchises, so there's not a whole lot of people that could go to them. Unless was Brooks Reed ever a Panther? Like he was someone that bounced around enough. Well, welcome back. I didn't even know you left.
Computer died on me.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, we got to hurry this thing up.
All right, so I'm gonna guess that Will Fuller played for the Panthers. Do I
I mean,
remember
heck,
this?
we can't fill this thing out fully anyways, so. Will Fuller did not. So,
Dang it.
ready to score 302. Made a perfect end, and that's going to end the stream. So, appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll be, like I said, we'll be back tomorrow for another post-game stream for Madden music.
Let's do it.
So until then, catch you guys later.
Peace.
Night.